All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope your Tuesday is off to a good start. And we've got more UDFA stuff to go through today. Just two more players. And the first one we're going to talk about today is the only player who I see maybe latching on as a UDFA on defense. This guy right here, I think, has the best chance of making the team, maybe making like the practice squad and working his way up over the next year or two. That's always a possibility as well. But this is the one guy who I could see mattering on the defensive side of the ball. So Jonah Tavai is a very productive player from college, but if you look at him, if you look at the way that he plays, you look at his body type, it's kind of hard to imagine how it's going to work in the NFL. He's one of those players. Like, he put up big time numbers. Like, the numbers he put up at San Diego State, he completely crush anything that, like, Jalen Carter did at Georgia or Travon Walker did at Georgia. But you look at him and you're trying to just figure out how is this going to work at the NFL level. It's hard. It's possible. Players have certainly overcome physical limitations before, but this guy has some stuff to overcome. However, I think he's the best bet because he was so productive and because there are some things that he genuinely does very well. Now, admittedly, I do think that if we had picked up more of a appealing UDFA linebacker, it would probably be him. But I wasn't a big fan of the linebackers that we picked up. I don't think any of them have much of a shot. I don't think any of them are really more appealing than a guy like Vi Jones, who's already kicking around as a backup here. Maybe not even more appealing than Joshua Onujiogu as an inside linebacker. So I ended up going with the guy who I feel like is the best player of the defensive guys we got, and that's Jonah Tavai. So he does come in at a position of potential need on the defensive line, and I'll say this. Before the Seahawks signed Mario Edwards, I thought Tavai had a chance of making the 53-man. Now I'm more thinking he might make the practice squad. But I think he's got the best shot of doing something. And by the way, if he makes the practice squad, that first he needs to actually get through free agency, which is no guarantee. This guy is coveted in his own way. But let's start talking about what he brings to the table here. He's going to be 22 years old week one, 6 feet tall, 290 pounds. So he's got the right frame for 3-4, 4-eye defensive work. But 29 and a half inch hands, arms, and 9-inch hands. So got a little bit of an irregular body shape, I guess you could say. His arms are really short. These are all pro day numbers, by the way. This guy did not get a combine. This guy didn't do much of anything at the combine. Him being 6 feet tall is both good and bad. It's good because of leverage. It's bad because he's short. He's like really small in there. And even though 290 is like the perfect weight for being a defensive end in a 3-4, and he probably will be good doing that defensive end in a 3-4 type stuff, he's got to overcome his arm length. He's got to overcome some other limitations that he has. You look at his pro day testing numbers. His change of direction is really, really slow. His jumps are kind of forgettable. He ran a 5.0640, which, I mean, I'm willing to live with that. That's not the end of the world. 29 bench press reps is good, but this guy, he's going to be trying to overcome a lot. But he was able to overcome all that at the college level. He was very productive last year for San Diego State, and he had a very productive career across his time in college football. 13 games, 736 snaps, 59 tackles last year, 14 for loss. So he averaged more than one tackle for loss a game, 10 and a half sacks, 69 total pressures across 13 games. So he was consistently doing things in the backfield. Now, he did have 10 missed tackles and he had 4 penalties. So there were some bad things in his ledger as well. But this guy was producing at a very high level for San Diego State. Pretty clearly, I would say, their best and most important defensive player. Almost all of his snaps come on the defensive line. He played a handful of snaps in the box and, off the ball. And then he played a couple snaps as a slot cornerback. Mostly a pass rusher, but also a lot of snaps as a run defender. The most interesting thing about what he did at San Diego State was how much he played everywhere. He did not play more than 200 snaps in any one particular alignment. 158 nose tackle snaps, 194 defensive tackle, 157 over the tackle, and 192 outside the tackle. So this guy, his experience playing for the San Diego State defense ranged from him being the nose tackle to him being the edge rusher. And he was adept at all of it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not going to fly in the NFL, but it does speak to the opportunity that he has to translate that versatility into elite level play. He was graded out extremely well from PFF, 92 overall, 88 against the run, and 92.2 rushing the passer. Tackling, that's a little bit of a problem here. He is not a very good tackler, and part of that is because he has such short arms. Coverage grade is kind of whatever. He only dropped into coverage a few times over the season. But Jonah Tavai, he can do some stuff really well here. So let's go over the pros with Tavai. He has experience playing in a 3-3-5 defense at SDSU, so if we're going to do that a lot this year, that's an easy transition for him. Granted, I don't think he'll be able to play nose tackle in the NFL. I know we're listing him as a nose tackle. You're just going to have to forgive me. I'm just not buying it. But he can definitely play defensive end in a 3-3-5, and I would at least give him a chance to be able to do it adequately at the NFL level. He was utilized in many different roles across the defensive line in his career, like I said. Being so short gives him a big leg up when it comes to leverage battles. He's always going to win the leverage battle pretty much, so that's nice. He doesn't even need to try. He's got a very dense and compact frame. He's solidly built. He's very powerful, launching himself off the line of scrimmage at the snap. He just fires himself into linemen and does a good job moving the line of scrimmage when he does so. He's got a good amount of strength when it comes to engaging with linemen. He's able to push some linemen around. Obviously, at the NFL level, he's going to be going up against bigger linemen, and they're going to push him around. But he's got good strength, especially for his size. And maximum effort type player. Maximum effort at all times. Puts everything he has into pretty much every snap he gets. I do believe that, I'm not saying he'll be great, but he is a great fit, theoretically, to play a 3-4-4-eye end. So if that's the role we're ultimately going to utilize him in, then that's his best bet. So we're going to give him the best opportunity to succeed at the NFL. He uses his hands really well to win trench battles and fight his way through traffic. Really good at using his hands already, which you need to be if you're going to be this short-armed and this small trying to play on the defensive line. And of course, just the generally incredible amount of production he had in his college career. Now, the issues with Tavai are obvious. He's small and he's got short arms. Hard to believe everything is going to translate to the NFL. In fact, maybe none of it does. That's very possible. He is going to get pushed around by bigger players from time to time. There's just no getting around it. There are going to be some matchups where you maybe just can't even play him because he doesn't match up well. I think he'll probably be less successful getting off blockers in the NFL. Like, you look at these numbers, you look at the stats he put up, averaging over 4 tackles a game, averaging almost 5 pressures a game. That probably won't happen in the NFL because it requires you to get off blockers, and with the arms this short, it's just going to be hard. Like, not everybody is Collegiate Cansey. This guy, maybe you could look at him as like the poor man's Collegiate Cansey. Maybe that's what we're looking at here. Change of direction skills are lacking, mostly a straight line athlete as well. I highlighted that with his testing times. And he misses a lot of tackles because his arms are so dang short. Hard to overcome that as well. And that's Jonah Tavai for you. All right, one more video coming later today on our UDFAs, and that'll be it. But until then, let me know what you think of Jonah Tavai. See you guys later. Go Hawks. This is the one guy who I think has a chance of making the roster as a UDFA on defensive ability.